Okay, take two. So we were just starting to mention and talk about if you could ever go back and give your younger self some advice.
Yeah, we all have life events we wish that we had been prepared for. We got together with a couple of people and asked what advice they would give their 20-year-old self for this Put It to the Panel.
Is our first ever Put It to the Panel. We have Ginger Poole, who's the producing artistic director at Mill Mountain Theater, and we have Larry Landolt, who is the owner of Tour Roanoke. Thank you guys so much for joining us and doing this with us today. This is going to be so much fun.
Yeah, we're excited.
Thank you.
And our first question, this was basically inspired because we've seen on Facebook and around social media, people posting like old pictures of themselves and saying the advice that they would give to themselves, you know, when they were 20 years old. And now, you know, it's like before and after, this is what I've learned. This is what I look like. And it's just been kind of a fun trend to see. So that's what we're asking you guys and us, we want to talk about today. What would be the advice that you would give to your 20-year-old self, or any 20-year-old for that matter?
That's a good question. Ginger, do you want to hit that first, or do you want me to go?
Go for it, Larry. Yeah.
Well, you know, this is a little bit easy for me. I shouldn't say easy, but it's I've been doing this for a little while because I have a 21-year-old daughter, and you know, she's in her senior year at college, and you know, we talk a lot, and we kind of jokingly talk about these life lessons, right, along the way, and of course, I think as parents, we want our children to kind of not make the mistakes we did, perhaps. And so we talk a lot about those things in a real candid way. And so the one thing that I've always encouraged her is to just kind of have a plan. You know, I remember going through college myself. It was like, there was no plan, right? You know, have a plan, you know, and you can change that plan, right? The other one is, we talk a lot with my daughter, Grace, is to acknowledge like there's fear along the way, right? Oh, I'm going to make a mistake. But acknowledge that, say it out loud, and move on anyway, right? And for me, also the other thing is just, you know, I want her to be a kind person, which I believe she is, and I would encourage that. I mean, these 20-year-olds today, and of course I see her friends and whatnot, they seem so mature, right? But to be kind, and I tell you, the other thing that I think is so critical is just whenever you're leaving something, whether it's a relationship, a job, a position, you know, just do it well, you know, don't burn bridges, right? You know, I mean, to me, that's because those things,
especially at 20.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
right.
Great advice.
Yeah. So those are the things that come to my mind.
Wow, that's
Those
awesome.
are good, Larry.
Yeah.
Those are really good. I think for me, it would be to trust and use my voice and earlier. So if you think about, you know, you're in a room and maybe people have more experience than you do, or maybe they're older than you are, it doesn't mean that you have less of a voice. You might have really good ideas. And I think I would have told my 20-year-old self, trust those instincts and be okay with yourself voicing, you know, your opinion or your ideas earlier, instead of just sitting back and thinking, well, I'm too young, I shouldn't say anything, I should just sit and listen. The other one for me would be to be more spontaneous and to be less by the book. I think that I missed out on some really important things because it was so regimented for me as far as like the track and the plan that I had. I do think it's smart to have that plan, as Larry mentioned, but to be spontaneous once in a while. And then I've got a vain one. Use sunscreen. Use sunscreen.
Great advice.
Start early. Yeah.
And open an IRA too, right? Yes.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Open an IRA.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Ginger, I'm right there with you with the, I had a plan and stuck to it and didn't have fun and missed out on a lot of fun because I was so like, this all depends on me and I have to just work super hard, and, you know, and you just have to, my advice to my 20-year-old self would be, you can have some fun. It's going to be okay. It all does not completely depend on you. And there is a greater purpose in this, and you're still going to get to the same place because there's a bigger plan. And so I just worked so hard and just missed out on so much. So that is really something I think a lot of people really need to hear. So yeah, I resonate with that very much. And yes, wearing sunscreen. I love the idea of not burning bridges, because you see that so many times in when people get in their first and second jobs, and you're like newly in the workforce, you see them when they just get emotional and upset and they just implode. And I'm like, no, it's a small world. This Roanoke is a small town. News is a small business. And you see that and you just want to leave things well. You want to be able to persevere well, and get to the other side and say, okay, I did it. That was hard. I got out and now I'm moving on.
Agreed. Agreed. I know one of the things when I was in college age, I always had this idea that I would join the Peace Corps and just go travel and just do crazy things like that. And I never did. And that's one of the things I look back and I said, gosh, I wish I had done something like that, taken risks that were kind of a little out of the ordinary. Right. And yeah, awesome.
I love
what
it.
about you, Bridget?
Well, I was just going to say that when I was around 20 or had just kind of, I think at that time, are you finishing college? You're pretty much finishing college if you're not there already. And I remember being so afraid of failing. Like my dream was to do TV news at first, and then I've since morphed into now obviously
Look at you,
lifestyle.
Bridget, right?
Yeah, but I was afraid to even apply for those jobs because I did not want to get rejected. And I had seen people who had applied and then, completely gone a different career route because they couldn't get in because it's such a small niche, really. And I had kind of a moment where I took a job and it was a sales job, nothing against sales, but I had a moment where I was like, nope, it would be better to just try and just go for it. Like just go for the dream. And the doors opened up and there was lots of prayer and everything else involved. But I would just say, don't give up on your dreams and really shoot for them. When you're 20, you have don't be afraid of failing when you're 20. I mean, that's like when it starts. So that would be my advice. Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys so much for